All right. All right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my god.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Stuart.
Hi, Sam.
Hi.
The Sam sang, and if Sam sung,
Hmm.
then that's the past tense, so he's the
Ah,
Samsung.
Samson.
I know. That's what I was getting at.
Yes. Ah, more Samson. I only have two. Well, I have all my old phones in my on my various drawers over there. Gosh,
I
going
gotta,
back to a like 5-year-old phone and say, oh, these are thinner and smaller. Wow,
yeah.
we accepted them getting chunky, didn't we? Because boy. But then like, you know, I like the bump because it means you get clever cameras. That was what I want phones for. So
Yeah.
I'll take the chunk. I'll take it. It's okay.
Yes.
How you doing, Stuart?
Not too bad, not too bad. How about you?
Yeah, some bits and bobs kind of day. Nothing's quite gone to schedule, but not too bad. I'm kind of, I don't know if you saw my Facebook, but I was caught helping family for half of yesterday, so
I
I'm
saw that because you're a text expert, if you will.
more of a text checker, and they want me there just to. But it's funny when you get into a tech location with people who are over 60. The person in the office doesn't quite treat them the way that they treat anybody under, I'll say 30 there, but in their 30s, because they're like, they might not know what they're talking about versus he probably does. And it's like, but then, your dad says things like, oh, dad, that's a weird way of phrasing that. Tech
Yeah.
wise, it's like, that's not, I mean, it's fine, but it's like, oh. So I'm basically doing Monday's job today, bar Trekyards, of
Mm.
course. Uh, but it's Tuesday. So,
Your week's gonna be all out of whack.
yes. But I'm not doing anything this weekend. So that's well, no, I am maybe, but I mean, like, otherwise wise.
Right.
I'm not somewhere big and important. Except with you.
Ah. Anyway, welcome back, guys. It's time
Hello.
for another versus,
Oh my God.
where you guys get to pick which ships we
It's true.
battle against each other. So, and it's the standard, $5 per ship kind of
Mm-hmm.
deal. And if you want a chat GPT summary or breakdown of the battle, we'll
Mm-hmm.
go with $2 for that because why not? Um, it'll be interesting.
Which you should, because they're fun and they're
They are.
sassy.
Yes.
And it's
Yes, they are.
satisfying when it's funny. It's satisfying to either entirely disagree or entirely agree with us. Both is interesting. Like, oh, we outthought it, or like, what are you on about? What are you saying? So, fun either way. I think this is also
Yeah.
a Trek only. We do tend to show in thumbnails if there's like other universe. So it's just Trek this
Hmm.
time. And we're excited to see what you guys have us debate. Both serious, maybe less serious, but hopefully serious, because we like debating. And I
Yes.
will start sharing. See you in a minute.
Go for it. All right, guys, and that gives me a chance to tell you guys to make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell icon to all so you don't miss any content from us. And super chat in supports the channel. So it is heading on over to Patreon/Trekyards and supporting us there, or clicking the join button down below. All helps us out any way you can. We appreciate it. But honestly, giving a thumbs up, just like on the video is amazing. So lots of ways you can interact and help us out, and we appreciate all of it. So please, if you can, please do so. Uh, Also, there are links down below to the Teespring and the TeePublic store. You can click those. But we just want to hear from you guys and have a fun discussion about ships versus ships, because versus is always the thing everybody comes to when it comes to ships. So we will put the ships that you choose in there and have discussion based on what those ships are capable of, who might win. And like I said, if you want to do chat GPT summary of the battle, which is always interesting because ChatGPT takes a lot of things into consideration, which is kind of funny. By all means, throw that in and we will read that out because interesting stuff for sure. But anyway, we got some super chats in, which is great. We will get to those as soon as Sam is done sharing the video around. But yeah, that's another thing you can do to help us out as well. Share the videos. Make sure you comment and like them when you watch them, or just tune in and check it out and hit the like button. Just interact with the channel. It's a huge huge support to us and helps us out immensely in the algorithm and all that stuff. So if you're able to, that would be amazing, and we appreciate it. So, um, Moxie Riley, I wonder if any more new content about the Bisset verse will be made. He did some work on it. He was going to do a book, and then he switched gears and is creating his own universe now. So I'm not sure about that.
That was an interesting thing coming on. What?
Moxie Riley asked, he wondered if any new content for the Bisset verse will be made. Yeah, he's kind of shifted gears and created his own
Oh, really?
universe now. Yeah,
I had not heard.
yeah. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure. In other words, that's what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome back, Sam.
Hello. Hello. Okay.
So my first super chat's from Jonathan Earl, which is $2 and says random time ship, but that's it. I'm not versus anything. So should we select one for it to battle? Don't know how we should handle that.
It's also only $2, of course. So pre-existent
That's
rules
true.
here. You're welcome to top that up. So.
Yes, and he said he threw it in early because he couldn't be here, so he's not even here to clarify or to fix it. So
Well, if someone wants to top it up, feel free.
we're addressing it, Jonathan.
Yes. All right, next.
Next is Olivia Julius, $5. Ship of the Dead versus the Big Bad Ship in Star Trek 2009. Well, which ship would that be?
Well, Narada, but again, only $5. So I pick. So
Oh,
Sarcophagus shop is. Sarcophagus ship is up. Yes, Mark.
indeed.
This is what I have to do. I have to caffeinate and be. This is why I go to sleep at 4, 5, 6 a.m. because I got to be awake for this, and alive and conscious. Time zones. So I missed you.
Yeah,
Like, why do we get up at the same time roughly, despite living? Because we. Yep.
yeah. Mark says I've never really grasped how late you stay up for these live streams, Sam, until I was in the same time zone during one.
Yep. But just don't wake up until midday. Then you're fine. That's the secret, Mark. Don't go out with the kids at 9 a.m. because you can't do that then. I have done the occasional live with you. I've done a whole filming day and then done one. It's like, oh no, been up.
Yeah.
Many hours.
And they can only see the thumbnail, by the way, so they can't even see the Ship of the Dead on screen.
Yes. And since Mark didn't put one in, he can cover up for Olivia's.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Good stuff. Okay. It's an interesting duo.
So the Ship of the Dead versus Narada.
I assume they mean Borgified post all that
I hope
jazz.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two very unique alt ships. Well, I wonder what the hell the ChatGPT will if anyone wants to have us ask it. What do I say?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So Borgified Romulan mining vessel, which you see in the comics, in the Countdown comics, I gotta say. But yeah, versus the Ship of the Dead, the sarcophagus ship. Okay, well, let's see. I would assume the Borg tech would have a slight advantage over something like the Ship of the Dead, but not quite really sure what the Ship of the Dead is capable of weapons-wise. It is large. It is protected by a shell of sarcophaguses. Is that like armor? I don't even know. Would it actually make a difference? I don't know. But considering the Borg tech is way more advanced, and I'm assuming the Narada is much, much larger in scale, but that being said, it's Discovery, so who knows what size the sarcophagus ship is. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'd have to say that if the Narada could get above the sarcophagus ship and use its mining drill beam thing to beam through the hull, it cuts through the hull. Wow. It's just weird because I don't like either of these ships really. Although it's a pretty good picture of the sarcophagus ship, I must say. It's doesn't look so bad there, but Yeah, it's ancient. I was going to say ancient tech because it's not, though. It should have been. I don't know what I'm even talking about anymore. My God.
That's what doing a week of no lives is. Your brain goes tongue-tied, Stuart.
Well, something like that.
All right, now this is
Yeah.
obviously a problematic one in the sense of it's 24th century Borg infested Romulan mining ship tech versus a potentially a century-old at Discovery, 100-year-old ship. Anyway, so Narada just bumping into it would kill it, or one torpedo would kill it, because the Kelvin's going to be more capable. Because Kelvin's older. Okay, Kelvin is older, but it's yeah. I mean, Sarcophagus ship we know it has one forward torpedo launcher, but that in itself is not impressive. Most things do, right? The only thing it really has going for it is the extreme speed, size, which in itself is not a benefit really, just makes it slow, and a cloak. But the Narada would probably be able to scan through the cloak potentially with the Borg tech. So it's kind of
Yeah.
it's one of those things that the Naradas can get hit by torpedo, and then for its lowest yield missile, which then splits to 8, bam, 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 and Takuvma is
That's
there
true.
watching himself get blown up. So it's a really unfair fight. And if you compare now, if you actually go era by era, like match them era wise, because that's whatever, like a refit version, I still think the Narada would win because, yeah, I mean, when you have the JJ ridiculousness of missiles that can jump into 8, I mean, and it can launch multiple, you're looking at a giant just barrage of tactical, which I doubt Sarcophagus ship is any sort of point defense, right? It's a burial ship which happens to have one gun and a cloak. It's not a warship. It's not anything except, in a good way, right? It's interesting. Its own thing. It's like creep ship. It's form over function or function over form. Wait, no, yeah. But yeah, I think this is an easy win. The only thing I could think it could do is because the size, Sarcophagus could ram into the middle like Kelvin
Yeah.
did. Because Kelvin's giant. This is giant. It would be that the only thing I would say to kind of
You say
potentially match it.
you say the sarcophagus ship has no point defense, but I mean it's got the torchbearer, man. He's on the hull. He's got his batleth. He's deflecting missiles and phaser blasts. He's the point
Oh,
defense.
with Battlefest, he's
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
oh god, like Deadpool
Like a
and
lightning rod.
Deadpool with Wolverine, just shoot at
Yeah,
them and just, which was a
yeah.
great sequence by the way, cutting bullets mid thing. That was a great effect. No, sorry, Stuart, I take it back. He point defenses because if you fire the one, yeah,
Yes. Well, both still Olivia and Ray chat GPT'd this battle.
which
So
I sent you. So pick and choose what you want to say.
okay, well let's see what it says here. All right, ancient Klingon warship repurposed as a flagship and religious symbol. Massive, larger than a D7 Katinga, but smaller than Narada. This is for the sarcophagus ship. Disruptor cannons, not particularly advanced. Point defense weapons, it even says it right there. Defenses, reinforced armor plating, cloaking device, unique for its era. Yeah, shouldn't exist for its. Anyway, it's fine. Special
Nice
features.
it clarified because that's a good thing to say.
Yep. Built for the remains of dead Klingon warriors, serves as a symbolic unifier of the Klingon houses. Its weaknesses: outdated technology, heavy and slow, and limited maneuverability. Now, the Narada is a 24th century Romulan mining ship modified with 25th century Borg tech. Absolutely colossal, over 4 kilometers long. Singularity based torpedoes, multiple planet drilling plasma beams, rapid fire missile systems, and disruptors. Its defenses are Borg enhanced hull regeneration, incredible durability. Special features can deploy the red matter drill. No, if it has the red matter, yeah. Tech decades to centuries ahead of anything in the Discovery or TOS era. Weaknesses: not a warship by origin. Weak tactical command. It says Nero's rage-driven leadership. So tactics and scenario. Let's play the battle. See, the battle occurs in deep space with both ships aware of each other and able to prepare. Scenario 1. There's a few scenarios here. Interesting. I just lost my place. There we go. Long range engagement. Narada would annihilate the sarcophagus ship before it gets within range. Its long range torpedoes and disruptor barrages would rip through the Klingon hull in seconds. Even if the Klingon ship tried to cloak, the Narada's sensors and Borg upgrades would likely compensate for this. So, in that one, the Narada wins. Scenario 2, close range ambush. The sarcophagus ship might survive longer if it managed a surprise attack with a cloaked strike. However, even point blank, its outdated disruptors wouldn't do significant damage to the Narada's reinforced hull. A boarding action would be suicidal. The Narada is massive and likely automated in many areas due to Borg tech. So that's scenario 2. Scenario 3, leadership battle. Takuvama, or Call, who commanded the sarcophagus, are charismatic warriors, but not high-tech tacticians. Nero is unstable, but commands a vessel with capabilities far beyond 23rd century understanding. Verdict: Narada wins easily. Why the Narada wins? Technological superiority by hundreds of years enhanced by Borg modifications. Sheer size and firepower dwarf the sarcophagus ship. Defensive capabilities are far beyond what a pre-TOS Klingon vessel could overcome. Tactical range and versatility, including planetary weapons, give it overwhelming options. The sarcophagus ship may have symbolic and spiritual weight, but in a straight fight, it's completely outmatched. Even iconic ships like the Enterprise D or Dominion battlecruiser would have struggled against the Narada. The sarcophagus ship doesn't stand a chance. So yeah.
You have been told, audience. Kind of what we said. But that is, in fairness to Olivia, that's a very unique duo of ships that we'll never see again, and nor can they ever happen again, because they're beyond lightning in bottles, and nor either particularly interesting. And both are kind of nice also in their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuart, big ships are good, because big is bad is rare.
Right. Ray Ricks is next with $10. Season 1 Discovery versus the Cerritos. Interesting. So Season 1 Discovery. Bing.
I can jump first on this if you'd like.
Yes, please do.
Tricky one in the sense that one's a cheat ship. Right? It's able to jump, which has a lot of uncertainty and oomph to it. So the Cerritos is far more advanced, but also far more basic. So nothing it has is particularly special, but for its own era. Discovery's weapons won't be able to do anything to its ship. But I would imagine if we're going silly with it, that it could do something with the spore drive to like spore energize the hull to make it more impervious to weapons fire, or something. Right, it can launch spore energy, and we've seen it jump at absurd degree. So if it wants to dodge torpedoes, it could, at least at medium range. Fair. And there's got to be something whereby shooting certain, if you're a writer, shooting certain shield areas in certain times would overload them. You could probably write that in. So therefore, if it kept jumping, even weak torpedoes would eventually make a difference. But that said, hasn't got that many torpedoes. And it is also, well, they're both giant. They're both oddly scaled, because both really didn't make sense to their era in terms of scale. Because Cerritos, big ship. It's like almost galaxy-sized. Like not the million miles away. It's shockingly big. You just don't think of it that way, but it actually is. Yeah, special weapons ship versus basic, underpowered, overworked ship.
Yeah, I think the spore drive is a tactical advantage if used like Lorca did, jumping around very quickly. It can be used very well. The Cerritos, of course, has buffer time.
The greatest strength and greatest weakness.
And an awesome crew. And of course, Shax would want to take out the warp core of the Discovery and yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Cerritos just because Discovery tech is way older, pre-TOS. Phaser's not that powerful in comparison. Shields same. The only advantage it has is the spore drive, which if you take that out of the equation, it's just regular crossfield class. There'd be no contest. Um, but incorporating the spore drive as a tactic, the Cerritos might be death by 1,000 cuts in that case, if done properly. So it's a tough one. If it's literally the Discovery versus the Cerritos with the spore jump, I still think the Cerritos could hold its own for quite a while. Faster locking on, probably in that era, they'd be able to hopefully maybe detect the ship as it comes out, give it a little lock on and fire, maybe. And of course, the shields on the Cerritos would hold up pretty well against those outdated weapons. If the Cerritos could get off a good hit or two on the Discovery, it'd be pretty much game over, I think. So, but yeah, if you're just going straight up crossfield class versus the Cerritos, the California class, there's no competition. Outdated tech on the crossfield for sure.
But if they never get a hit, because when you remember that battle, it was absurd. It was
Pretty cool.
It was less than a second or two per.
Yeah.
And like you say, target lock is the biggest thing. Can Cerritos, which is not a warship, and it's it was built early or pre TNG, so it's not like it's.
Here's a question.
Oh yeah.
It is an engineering ship designed with, you would think, more tractor beam emitters and maybe stronger tractor beam emitters for its 100%. Purpose. So if it could tractor on to the Discovery, is it like tractor onto it and then Discovery tries to do another jump? Does that fling the Cerritos because of the spin, or does the Cerritos, because it's tractored to it, jump with it? How would that work even? Would it work? Could they even catch the goddamn thing with the tractor beam? I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with the tactic for it.
I think you're writing. I think you're saying all the right questions. Is there a right answer? I don't know. Let's do a poll though, because I forgot to do it. As in, I think this is an interesting one to see what you guys think.
Yeah. Yeah, because
actually, let me re-ask it. We obviously gave the base debate, but swap it out for first 5 episodes Lorca Discovery, as we see it before they worked out anything mirror. So that version of the Discovery with Lorca as captain was meaning mirror Lorca. Because how would that change it?
With mirror Lorca, they'd have much more of a chance because he's much more tactically minded. And yeah, like I said, if he employs the spore jump the way it's designed to be used and was used in that battle, which might kill Stamets, but that's neither here nor there. I think the Discovery would come out on top, honestly, because the Cerritos is not the best crew in Starfleet. They're like one of the lowest tier ships. They're not really on their game as far as compared to other crews like the Enterprise crew, even though the tech's way more advanced. Yeah, you got to get those hits in. And if Discovery is doing its thing with Lorca in command, I don't think that the Cerritos would even have a chance.
Yeah, it's not so much even when you get to the spore jumping, because that, I forgot, that almost killed Stamets. That is very much a one use. It's like a the Gunstar, whatever that's called, Death Blossom, right?
Death Blossom.
And I think Sarcophagus ship had shields down. I think that's why it won that, and just sort of kept peppering it with shots. But you got to wonder, would Lorca have mirror tactics? Not so much the ship, but does he have some really dodgy thing, like thinking Voyager with Marquis? Like that's adding something dodgy. That, oh, if we do this versus this, it'll mess with shield harmonics. Like a cheat code that happens to
possibly
know. And then once, because I'm basically saying, if the Cerritos' shields are up, too many hits to count, right? Is a lot of punishment because it's way stronger than the Sarcophagus ship. But the shields are down, this thing is going to kill them very quickly, as is often just without shields. But it's if they can have a special move beyond the thing, because really it's just any ship of the time it could fight. But yeah, future tech is a huge deal. Right, well there you go. That's what do you guys think? What does the poll say, Stuart?
The poll is up. Go vote on it. We got 9 votes. Cerritos is winning with 89%. Yeah, if
Yeah.
it's tech versus tech, I think the Cerritos would come out on top. But taking into account the ability to spore jump, having Stamets controlling that, as well as Lorca in command, Lorca's got a more refined tactical sensibility than Freeman definitely would have. Um, yeah, it's a tough one. It can go either way depending on different variables, in my opinion. But tech-wise, it's easy. The Cerritos would win. Dark Lord Revan says, Cerritos is the Enterprise of the Cali classes, though. Is it? Is that just because we're on board and seeing what the crew are up to? Is it really the best Cali class out there? We saw some of the other captains and stuff. They seem pretty competent. Yeah.
There you go. Pretty happy to say that person wins.
Yeah. The Cerritos wins the poll 13%. 85% say the Cerritos would
Although
win.
Ray does say one more thing, but taking into account Michael Burnham is also Space Jesus. Now, how does Space Jesus, when you had that factor, does that come into play at all?
I mean, it's Space Jesus versus the Great Koala at that point. So, I mean, the Great Koala is going to win. I'm sorry.
Or
As great as Michael Burnham is, I mean,
or Space Jesus versus PTSD Shax, who has visions of darkness in the dark Black Mountain. Okay, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT and give you a little slither because I don't want to put in the full for that, but I want to just calling out Space Jesus and see what it says to that because it's very unique phrasing.
it's just, oh, good God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to close the poll out with 15 votes. 80% think the Cerritos would win that. But yeah, I technically agree.
Shall we say with Lorca or not with Lorca? Or just
With Lorca.
Or just Space Jesus Burnham.
I don't know. We're getting too in the weeds now.
Yes, we are. With Captain Lorca.
To be fair. No, it's not to be fair. Never mind. I was going to say something about Saru having super eyesight, but that's not going to benefit anybody. His super zooming eyesight. Remember that? He did that once. Yeah, you remember.
See, Discovery was good when they just dropped Discovery and just made it a different show in season 3.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I was at a con this weekend with Marie, which did not go well, apart from seeing Marie. But and I was talking to a vendor who was selling these bookmarks, which were quite well, and he hand painted some art pieces, and you know, fair dues. He put lots of time into them, fair dues. But I'm sort of an expert on ships. So if Marie points them out, I said to him very nicely, oh, the refit, the Trekyards World's Enterprise hasn't got red end caps, and he's like, oh man, that's close. I'm like, oh, the bridge dome's wrong too. He's like, oh, fair enough. And then I said the third thing. I was like, oh, I did it off a diagram. Oh, okay, cool. And I point out, oh, there's no NX-01, bookmark. He did Discovery instead. I'm like, he's like, well. Yeah, I don't know. He assumed I loved Enterprise. He's like, don't know how to tell you this, mate, but Enterprise is not well loved in the fandom. I said, but you got Discovery, it's the most hated. And he said, I don't think that's right, mate. I mean, season 1 was really good. I mean, it went downhill after that, but season 1 was really good. And I'm like,
what?
Because some people just love whatever season 1 was, and not the rest. And it's like, but that's the least Trek it ever was. And that's I did say to him it was the least canon. He said, yeah, I agree. It made the least connective sense, but it was the best season. I'm like, but they fired the showrunner, and they changed the plot halfway through, and half the setups don't work. I'll never understand those that love that season, like actually love it. It does as the best because there's fundamentally better seasons. Very strange.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to call Cerritos for this one, I think.
Although, ChatGPT says Discovery because Michael Burnham is a walking Deus Ex Machina and Spore Drive is too powerful. The Cerritos is brave but outgunned, and Lorca is basically a villain in disguise.
Wow. Okay.
So, special factor Michael Space Jesus Burnham. Called Space Jesus, ironically, by fans due to a plot armor, centrality, and save-like moments in Discovery. Genius-level intellect, elite Starfleet training, combines Vulcan logic with emotional intuition. If she's on the ship, she'll absolutely find a way to win, even if it involves rewriting the laws of physics mid-episode. There we go. Next.
All right. Next up, we've got Mark Lawrence,
Ooh.
$5. Says, how about a squadron of TNG era runabouts versus a TOS era Miranda? Interesting.
And then Ray puts in to make that a complete one. Good stuff.
Nice. Oh, I can't. What? Okay, slides is being problematic over
I believe in
here.
you. I believe in you.
Shut up.
Thank you.
I mean, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we got a squadron of TNG era runabouts versus a TOS Miranda. Were they the red shirts of the fleet? We don't know. We never really saw them.
Should have been there. Should have been there. Again, another era inappropriate battle, guys. Even one runabout could defeat a Miranda. Doesn't mean it will, but it could.
Yeah.
Pilot depending.
A squadron of them, yeah, the Miranda TOS doesn't stand a chance. Sorry. Maneuverability out the wazoo, a few of them zipping around your
God,
ship.
yeah.
Powerful weapons taking out your less powerful shields because of different era of technology. Mind you, the Miranda could get one or two lucky shots off, maybe hit a runabout and cause enough damage to kind of cripple it a little bit, but still there's more to it's like dealing with a swarm of bees. You know, you swat at one, the others attack.
Well, another good example was, this is a little bit different, but we don't see that many multi-era battles. But when you had Voyager, the D7 attacked Voyager in Delta Quadrant, and Voyager was being tickled by it, despite full photon torpedoes, full kill spread. And they were taking the hits. I mean, each one was taking shields down a little bit, but like that was a full battleship at the time, full hits, and they were absolutely fine. They could deal with it for a substantial amount of time, and they disabled it very quickly. So that's a capital ship as a capital ship. Miranda's a mid capital ship, but the runabout is coming to play. I'm betting, like you said, a sustained phaser blast could punish the shields because the shield output's not going to be as high. But phaser would pierce the runabout shields pretty quickly, or like, you know, with a you know, a strike or two, it wouldn't take that much to do. Could it dodge the phasers? Do you think of the runabout?
Yeah,
dodge the yeah.
I would think so. Yeah. But that being said, all you need to do is tractor onto one of the runabouts, have a sustained phaser on it, maybe take out its shields. But the runabouts on the same accord have micro torpedoes, which probably have the same yield as the big torpedoes of the Miranda class.
That's a good parallel, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the runabouts.
I mean, they don't all have torpedo pods, and obviously the one here doesn't, so not all have. But yeah, if you had all four dropping out, or if they all have pods and they all fired, like, I would expect 4 slew torpedoes to take runabout shields down to like 30% from that first barrage or more.
Take the runabout? You said take a runabout shields.
Sorry, Miranda's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like that level, if it could take it, but like that's, and some Trek, that level of percentage, there's sparks and there's fire. You know, like, oh no, 30%. Why are we on fire already? Well, it should be fine at 30%, right? Really, but.
Well, plus the thing, like the Miranda's there, it can be getting attacked from all sides with these runabouts doing maneuvering. So you can't allocate specific shield reinforcement to any specific shield because you're spreading yourself thin energy-wise that way. If you're going by like Starfleet battles and like Bridge Commander things where you can like buff up your shields. Yeah, it's like like I said, getting attacked by a swarm of wasps. If you focus on one, you're gonna get There's no competition here, honestly. So,
yeah, but I could see a single runabout being taken out by a Miranda. Because you've got to wonder, like, how punishingly removed micro torpedoes are. Because if a full photon torpedo is the size of a coffin, you know, a big coffin, and that would fit, you know, in the runabout cockpit, it's a good chunk of the front of the ship, right? Micro is much smaller. So if that amount of physical armament is hitting you, even that different in the era, you gotta wonder how much punch that would be, because that's a lot of punch you're throwing. Relative. Hey, classics here. You gotta wonder, because in Into Mirror Darkly we only saw phasers only, but that's what would want to be improved for the TOS Connie, like another level. The new phaser beam emitters, like the standard fare, upgraded so much because you've now got the new warp core, you've got new power feeds, you've got the new subsystems, like that's gonna be improved. Torpedoes don't necessarily upgrade at the same level. They jump quicker, I'm sure, but we never saw what torpedoes really did in the same way against the other.
Yeah.
I think until shields were down.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just maneuverability based and just the level of the disparity of technology here. I'm sorry, but the Miranda's going to lose this one.
Oh, Josh, I don't think that's a fair fight. I don't think he's putting a fair. I just know it's always up.
Josh, it depends whether the Shrike is targeting engine only. Because if they're going for, to destroy it, then they just might damage the Grissom. You know how that works.
Oh yeah,
Anyway.
if it aims their shields, takes the hit. If it aims engines, it explodes. Obviously, yeah.
Aussie threw in $5 and says Cerritos shuttle bay doors are closed. Yeah, we never took into account the shuttle bay doors. Maybe that can make an impact in the battle somehow.
Well, the both has 2 shuttle bays. I'm just saying, in this situation, maybe the shuttle bays could fling stuff out and hit them. Or maybe the Miranda class could be about a chemosite near the runabouts.
Chemosite.
And fire an aft torpedo and hit them. Do you think certain captains would approve of such plans or not so much?
Chemosite's pretty rare. I wouldn't want to be like wasting that stuff for something so silly. That's just a stupid tactic. You're gonna have a politician or a bureaucrat mad at you somewhere.
Well, as long as it's not Tholians, it's fine.
Perfect.
He wants more Tholians.
All right, let's see what is up. Mark Lawrence, $15.
Thank you.
How about a Klingon D4, no cloaking device, versus a pair of Oberths? Let's start with their shields on.
And I put the poll in, so that's up there from the start, guys. Now, because now you get into class disparity, warship versus science ship. Like, you'd never arm a science ship in a way you would a warship. You know, that's why I don't like whenever people say, "Oh, Intrepid's a science ship." It's like, oh, it's not. It's a specialist ship that does science. It's actually very, very, very well armed. I don't think any ship post Borg is just a science ship. Everything has default armaments that are quite extreme. Whereas this era, there are just science ships, right?
Yeah.
Do you want me to chat GPTs? Those, well, guys, $3. I want to know who would win. So if anyone wants to put in $2 for this as well, I would love to do.
Yeah, in regards to this,
the D4.
The D4 is older technology, of course, but the Klingons do love their armor. They love, like Sam said, they're built specifically for battle. If the ships are anything like their bodies, they have redundancies for every system. So, yeah, I think the Obersts are just outclassed instantly, even though there are 2 of them, which could have a little bit of an advantage, especially. Well, the D4 doesn't cloak, I assume. Shouldn't.
They also clarified they won't in this anyway.
Oh, there we go. Yes, perfect. Yeah, I was gonna say that the Obersts could use their sciencing together to, detect a cloaked vessel or whatever, but again, I think the Klingons are going to take this one, even though it's older technology. It's a ship designed specifically for battle, and with the Klingon mindset, they would have a more tactical mind. Sure, Starfleet captains are Starfleet captains, whether they're assigned this science vessel or not. They'd still have the same kind of tactical knowledge as every captain.
They're just worse at it. That's why they're not on a bigger ship.
Yeah, I don't have the. Yeah, they failed that course, or it's just a passing grade.
Yeah, that guy got a C. Esteban was a C grade in tactical.
So, yeah, I'm still thinking that the Klingon would come out victorious in this. The Klingon might take a little bit of damage, being attacked from two different sides at some points, but I don't think it would take one of the Obersts out, and then it's just 1-on-1. Like it would be a pretty straightforward battle, I think. The Obersts don't have much of a tactical advantage at all, even though the technology's slightly better. A lot less weapons, a lot less, well, probably no armor plating or shielding on the ship itself, aside from just the regular energy shields. Yeah, I think the Klingons would take this one no problem.
The problem is that it goes against the previous logic a bit, which was age equals tech.
Yes, but there's less age difference between these two than there was between Discovery. Okay, about the same.
Because this is D4. This is pre-Enterprise, or on
Yeah.
Enterprise. It was old Enterprise. So you're looking at 2161 and 2275. So over 100 years.
Okay.
So pretty substantial. So nothing shields wise is going to be capable of dealing with Oberth phasers.
But do the Oberth even have a torpedo launcher?
No, they probably don't. But phasers and shields, that's going to be this. So I would assume a phaser blast can just weaken the D4 shields in a couple of hits and get through, similar to how Burrell got through. Yeah, this is. I mean, there's two as well. So you look at dual fire, D5, D4, forward facing. If one can always sort of stay off, because it'll be a take impacts for sure. Yeah, I think Oberth would win just because it can take enough hits to have enough damage. Because if the Oberth, put it this way, if Starfleet's not giving the Oberth phasers and shields that can't take out a warship from 120 years ago, then it's losing as anything of the day. Anything, right? It's got to be at least enough to take on a light cruiser of that day. Otherwise, like the NX-01 could take it out as well, right? Because that would be a comparable ship. It's more advanced-ish.
Yeah, but just because the weapons are a little more advanced, there's less weapons on an Oberth for sure. At most, maybe like what, 3 phaser banks?
Yeah, forward, mid,
2 bolters each.
Yeah.
But
I'm saying shields. Shields can take like that's you're looking like 4 or 5 generations of leap in shields. Now we don't know how new the Oberth is. If the Oberth is a TOS ship, repainted, okay, but it's clearly refit style painting and hull design, so it's presumably of the era of refit. So if it's new in the era, then it's going to have the newest shields relative. And you could very easily argue Oberth is designed to be in environments that are more hostile if it's sciencing, so it's probably going to have a lot more shields to the relative scale of the ship. So a warp core that's relatively comparable to something bigger. I'm just saying, I think shields wise, it like with the sarcophagus ship and the it can take a lot of hits. Maybe it can't punish out as much, but there's 2 of them, remember? So if one is always firing phasers, always taking the D4 down, I think the D4 would lose.
Well, my thing is they could science the shit out of the D4 and create some kind of like resonance field which prevents target lock or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's science. So yeah, maybe, but I still think the Klingon mindset and their ship design specifically built for battle, probably having extra armor plating as well once you get through the shields, it would be an issue slightly. I think the Klingons might have I don't know. Now that you've thrown that into the works, I don't know.
I just think if you're a Starfleet engineer, if your bar is 120-year-old tech, it's like saying, well, as long as we can fight muskets, we're fine for this tank. Or this science boat. As long as our metal can take musket bolts, we're fine. It's like, yeah. But what about 9mm? No. Well, yeah, but they're more likely to find 9mm fighters. That said, if they are literally just designed to be in Starfleet area, cheap, simple, shields are basically whatever freighter has, like super low bar. You know, they're not bothering to update them even though they're new, because they just want to have 500 out in the field, because they're never designed for combat. Fine. But then you're looking at really bad Starfleet design logic. Like, these things are designed to be never ever in a fight. They will die. And it's like, that's not very safe to the people. It's tricky, right? It's tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, this one could probably go either way if I'm honest. But according to the poll with 22 votes,
Mm-hmm.
the Klingon D4 comes out on top at 68%. Two Oberths have 32%. There's a lot to take into consideration here for sure.
Well, $2 and I can throw what ChatGPT said because it has an interesting interesting summary there.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
Especially as there's no canon on what the D4 can do. So what's it pulling from, right? It was a I mean, technically speaking, it was seen Enterprise as a Katinga. Technically. But we don't count that because you shouldn't count that.
Yeah. Well, in that poll at least.
Alright, next. We do like
Next up, we've got Classic
God
for Real. $5. The alien ship from the Voyager episode Scientific Method versus the alien ship from the Voyager episode Counterpoint.
And you thought you had us beat with that. Tish tish, sir. That isn't hard at all.
I assume that's this one. And the Devore.
So if you recall, Stuart, Scientific Method is the one where the crew go a bit crazy because their brains are being messed with. So this ship is fully cloakable with an advanced cloak because Voyager would be able to detect most cloaked things. So it's got cloak on its side and numbers because they are, as we saw, they're just landing craft to latch on. And then you Devore. Thoughts? Although boy, what the hell would ChatGPT say for this? Two absolutely obscure non-ships. What the hell would it say? I have no clue, right?
If the ship could covertly attach itself to the Devore ship and start running their experiments. Now the Devore, they dislike telepaths. Are they telepathic themselves? I don't believe so. No. Okay. Yeah, so they wouldn't be able to sense that anything's going on, in which case the alien ship would win. The Scientific Method ship would win because they would just, the crew would be experimented on and get sleep deprivation and who knows what would happen. In a straight up ship battle, the Devore warship would kick ass instantly if it could see the ship. So again, it's very straightforward when I think ship versus ship, there's no contest. The Devore would win. But if you use the sneaky tactics of the Scientific Method type aliens, I don't know their name. So then they're already on the ship. They're already influencing the crew. They could cause some havoc in that regard. But ship versus ship, it's simple. It's the Devore warship. It's a warship. So, yeah.
Is it though? As in, all we know is it was a patrol craft, like the border craft. Do you tend to send your best ships to the border, or like,
Yeah.
Coast Guard's the best ships.
Sure. If you're in a war, you send your best ships for sure.
But they're not in a war. They're just
Well,
immigration.
Whatever. You tell me then, because I don't know. I think that's a Devore warship.
Obviously, it's a warship. But I'm saying like the way we saw them was very much like unique, and the fact they had 3 to take to go against Voyager because they were smart people and therefore the fact they had to send 3 tells you 3 could probably take on Voyager, so therefore they're relative to that power level we can kind of assume, or at least 2.
Yeah.
Worth saying. But yeah, certainly the straight on fight, unlikely, although the size wise. But the Devore are also very anally retentive about procedure and about scanning things. So I would guess that there'll be some lieutenant on deck 6 who, when he hasn't slept for 2 days, he'll be like, "Let me do a resonance scan." Ugh. And he'll find him
with a Scottish accent, of course.
I don't even know what I was doing. Space Scottish. And so I think they, of all races, actually as an interesting pick, would be able to find them significantly quicker because of their very, very technical nature of like their entire thing where they scan the ship for people. Obviously, they failed to find the telepath.
I was going to say that, yeah.
But that's the Voyager crew with more advanced technology and blah, 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 right? That's their one thing.
Yeah.
So I think they would find them and be kind of vicious about beating them up. Not killing them, but beating them up. Yeah, situational. But if they've got numbers, and I mean, if they can latch on with 10 and just go in and stun every Devore officer, boom, ship over, right? That's kind of odd. I think an odd stalemate. 'Cause at the very least, I would bet you that they'd have like a fleet of 10, and some would get massacred to let other ones cloak stealth on, get aboard, sabotage, take it down, right? Like ants taking on over a big thing, right? Numbers. They would use numbers and they would win, I think, just from strategy alone. Yeah.
Never got the sense there was swarms of ships though.
Well, there was more than 10 attached to Voyager, or like more than 5. So if they thought that was needed, I'm sure they could bring more. Right? There was never one ship.
But although there is for scientific curiosity, though, they're not there specifically for anything, malevolent.
Sure, but all they have to do is like shoot the shield generator with a phaser.
But that's true, yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to be passively, neutrally defensive.
It's a battle that honestly I can't say a clear winner because of all the things we've mentioned.
It's a battle that no one's ever thought of. Ever.
But if you take the meaning of the show, it's ship versus ship, the Devore win. It's just that easy.
Yes.
Assuming they can lock on to, let's say this cloak, the spec didn't lock onto it.
Although with that level of cloak, I would assume their shields would be pretty good. As in, like, because their tech is so advanced, they could have really good shields as well.
Yeah.
But Mark did send in the chat GPT, so there is the segment for the D4 versus Oberth.
Ooh, 2 Oberths. Put 2 Oberths? Yes, the Oberths, yes. All right, the Klingon ship would get in close and tear through at least one Oberth with a barrage of disruptors. With its aggressive tactics, it could likely overwhelm both before they can coordinate a defense. The Oberth's phasers would struggle to get through the D4's hull unless they land focused sustained fire. Scenario 2, the Oberths get the drop. They could disable or destroy the D4 if they attack at long range, use their superior sensors to get a lock on before being detected, focus fire both phaser arrays and torpedoes on one target point, but they'd have to hit hard and fast and draw out any drawn out exchange and they would be toast. Scenario number 3, close range fight. The D4 thrives in close quarters. The Oberth would be unable to dodge or survive a slugfest. One Oberth might try to distract while the other gets behind, but their lack of maneuverability makes this nearly impossible. Verdict, the D4 class wins, but narrowly. Why? Despite being a full century older, the D4 is a warship, while the Oberth is a flying research lab. The D4 has greater resilience and more concentrated firepower. Unless the Oberths pull off a perfect double team alpha strike, they'd get shredded once within range. Win probability, D4 class 65%. It's very similar to our poll, 68%. Interesting. See, ChatGPT is scanning the internet right now. It knows we're live. We just did that poll, and it's like, and it clipped it before it went up to 68. That's what happened. Oberth has a pair of 35%, only if they stay at range and play it smart. So yeah.
You learn something new every day. Thanks, Mark.
Indeed.
We like to learn here on Trekyards.
Learning is fun. Okay. Let me get those out of the picture. And we got Ray Ricks with 12 pounds. Trekyardians versus the Negvar with ChatGPT summary. Trekyardians.
Titans
versus the Negvar. Oh, that's a big explodey thing. Versus the Negvar. Okay, wow. This should be a all-out brawl, I think. Got the Romulan sneakiness, the cloaking ability, but you also have that with the Klingons. They use it a little bit differently, I think. But
does the Negvar have cloak? As in, have you ever seen it cloaked?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think it would.
But you'd assume it would.
Oh, I think it does decloak. It does. I think it cloaks to leave when they're like, "Peace out, we failed to kill you all." It doesn't. No, it must decloak. Yeah, I think. Yeah. I think it does. But like, just to say hi and bye. Sorry. Well,
That's okay.
I'm sure it could close. Want to clarify if I've seen it. Back to you. Back to you on the floor, Stuart.
That's right. Down here on the field, we got the Negvar, which of course, I don't know. I ran out of anyway. Um, yeah, this would be a slugfest. This is two well evenly matched ships. The Negvar would have been designed to take into account the Daredeks, because they're both heavy hitters within their own set of fleets, right? So, um, I can't even. They would both, like I said, it'd be a slugfest. It'd be a back and forth between the two of them, and let luck be on the side of somebody because somebody's going to have the kill shot. But I think battle wise, they're both heavily armored. They're both heavily armed. Shields are probably comparable strengths. You got the Romulan kind of sneaky tactics as opposed to the Klingons' more brutal, upfront, in your face tactics. But I mean, Klingons hate Romulans anyway. So they got that advantage of having a little bit of rage behind that. I don't know. This is really impossible to call, I think, because they're so equally matched that it would depend very much on tactics, area of space they're using, perhaps, and your commander, your captain. Um, there's no real advantage to either one. I don't think they both have cloaking devices. They both have the same, like I said, kind of armaments and defenses. They both have style points.
Both green. Yeah, different shades of green.
Yeah, they are green.
Vote in the poll.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say beyond that because they are so evenly matched. Fuck. Yes, vote on the poll for this one because I think it'll be close to 50-50 personally.
Whereas I somewhat disagree.
Of course you do.
You're welcome. Now, every Negvar is a little bit different. This one is the one that has the two underslung engine disruptors.
Yeah.
So, two giant disruptors versus one main front one for the Daredeks that we see. So already you've got two main cannons versus one main cannon. And I think also the middle one's also a laser disruptor. So I would say the Negvar is significantly more well armed, at least at front firing. I would assume the Daredeks, if you take Andy's like ball turret things around, it has more overall arc, but that front fire, I mean, Negvar can throw punishment, right? The Daredeks is not known for throwing punishment, it's known for like a sustained good bat of fire, but it's not like barrage. Negvar is like gonna kill you. I would think that the Daredeks' shields were slightly more advanced, would be my guess of the two, but I would think the armor of Negvar would be stronger.
Yes, absolutely.
So weapons and armor versus shields, I would think weapons and armor would win just because it could just throw so much more. Cloak is like say a neutral point. If we're going technicality, I think the Derek's could decloak a little bit quicker because it's more advanced, like more efficient. So if you're looking at split second sneak attack, by a second that would win, but that's such a minor point. And maneuverability, the Derek is shockingly maneuverable. We've seen do some fun maneuvers. Negvar is not. But again, it's not hugely meaningful. So straight fight, Negvar I think would just pretty much just pummel it to death. But when the Derek's going to start turning, okay, got more of a fight. But I would think the Negvar would have some good aft weapons too to try and, because decent, they all have aft weapons, right? I would think they would have some disruptors back end. It's the sides that are a problem. But then kind of Derek's fired from the side. They're not really designed for that, either of them, right? So yeah, I think the slugfest would be Negvar. Two Daredeks is easy because of technical advancement might be more, but you know the Daredeks never like just had weapons, right? Negvar has guns. It's just a big armored warship that is beyond a bruiser. It's just there to pummel you to death.
How many times were Negvars alone, though? There'd probably be one decloak. The Klingons would go in all brave and bold and overconfidence.
I mean, the
So it's one of
Pterodactyls.
us. No, the Negvar would go big and bold against one Pterodax, going, "Oh, we got this.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna." But then the Pterodax,
Mm.
there'd be another one floating around that would decloak near the end of the battle. I don't
Sure.
know.
No, yeah, for sure.
Um,
But then the Negvar might have like 3 birds of prey as like,
that's the word. Yeah,
well, no, scout ships, right? Give us some
yeah,
stealthy, but that's really not very helpful either. Yeah, I want to see what you guys think, because I think it's a tricky one, because if you look at tactics, a Pterodactyl captain would have a better knowledge of what they're doing and their ship's ability set to do something clever. But Bruiser raw fight, Negvar should win pretty easily. But what if the Pterodactyls can like find a tactical weak spot and exploit it and get the shields down to like 30%? There's ways you could justify it really easily
yeah,
beyond the simplicity of the pure weapon firepower.
yeah.
Huh.
Hmm. Now, are you taking into account that the Pterodax has a deflector up front or a weapon?
Stuart? Yes.
Perfect. Very good.
Yep. 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 Yep.
I always wanted that to be some kind of super plasma weapon because the plasma torpedoes in TOS were such a big deal as far as damage wise. Uh, I would just love the plasma torpedoes to carry on into the future, but never really hear about them again. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Stuart. I know it's a sore spot. You'll never forgive them for the death of your plasma torpedo.
I hate battling against plasma torpedoes, so I'm fine with it. It's fine. It's fine.
They were quite annoying in the video game as well. They just sort of chase you and like, God damn it!
Yeah.
It's the AI that like gets right next to you and launched it this close. Like, oh, for God's sake, my shields went down to red in
Yep.
1 second.
Yep.
You bugger. Yeah.
That's a good battle.
It's great. But we have the breakdown as well.
Sweet.
You know, because we love Ray, and we love you all, of course. Because we love Ray, I'm going to ask for a render, a picture as well. It won't do a good job, but we'll try.
Yes. Did you send it to me?
Yes, I didn't read on
Oh,
Facebook.
perfect. That's a long one. Oof.
Well, pick and choose, right?
Yeah. All right. The Pterodax. 1,200 meters, longer than a Galaxy class. Royal flagship heavy cruiser. Armament. Disruptor beam arrays, powerful sustained fire capable. Photon torpedoes, possibly plasma torpedoes in some cannon. Just talking about that. Defenses. Cloaking device. Signature Romulan strength. Shielding equal to or slightly below the Galaxy class. Strength, long range firepower, surprise and deception through cloak, superior subspace sensors, and ECM, which is electronic countermeasures. Weaknesses, large and somewhat under armored for its size, slow to turn, not very agile in combat, tends to over rely on cloak and strike tactics. Then you got the Negvar, which is 680 meters, shorter but bulkier and denser than a Dideridex, which is a flagship battle cruiser. Heavy disruptor cannons, 4 mounted pulse disruptors, photon and possibly quantum torpedoes. Interesting. Defenses, thick armor plating, heavy duty shield generators. Strengths meant for frontline war can take and dish out major damage. Strong at brawling, fast attacks, and brute force. Weaknesses: limited stealth or sensor tech, vulnerable to being outmaneuvered or flanked. Smaller power grid compared to the Daredex's massive warp core. So let's see here. Combat scenario. Scenario number 1, cloak and strike ambush. The Daredex wins if it can hit first from cloak, targeting engines and weapons. A surprise strike could cripple the Negvar before it can react. But the Negvar is built to take punishment. One strike may not be enough. Exactly, yeah. Scenario number 2, open battle. The Negvar wins. Head to head, no cloak. It's the better warfighter. Faster fire rate, more brutal weaponry, and tougher hull make it ideal for prolonged engagements. Klingon ships are redundant and hard to kill. Scenario number 3, hit and run tactics. If the Daredex keeps distance and uses cloak as As you use a cloak to reposition, it can wear down the Negvar over time, but this takes discipline and skill, and any mistake could be fatal. The verdict, 50-50. What the fuck? We just said all this pretty much. Depends on first engagement. If the Trekyardians gets the jump and strikes first with the cloak advantage targeting key systems, Romulan victory. If the Negvar detects the attack or closes the gap fast, Klingon victory. This is a true tactical matchup, not for sheer power comparison. Not a sheer power comparison. It's brains versus brawn, stealth versus shock. Yeah.
Basically,
So,
we know what we're saying.
yeah, exactly. For scenario 1, the surprise cloak strike, Romulans would have a 55% chance of winning. For scenario number
How
2, the open.
precise? Thanks, ChatGPT. Wow, goodness, that's okay.
I was just saying they're so close that.
I know it's just so ballsy to say in this
Yeah.
fictional battle it's a
Well,
55%. Just,
we'll see scenario number 2, open combat and brawl. The Klingons, it says 45%, which is. Anyway, and tactical maneuver warfare, even match 50-50. So, yeah, as we kind of said during our whole. We said all that. It's a very close one to call. But you guys don't think so. With 18 votes, the Negvar wins with 72%.
well, there you go.
Damn.
I guess it's hard to just do the exception battle to the rule, you know?
Yeah.
Which is why we did other versus iterations, having the random other thing that can nullify and moot power says, like, oh, there you go. Right? So if shields go down, then it's like just hit the neck and bam, the Drax is dead. Right?
Bam, I'm dead. Yeah.
Very nice. All right, next.
Next up, we've got Classic for Real $5. The alien ships. Oh, did that one. Sorry, never mind. Classic for Real $5. The swarm of alien ships from the Voyager episode The Swarm versus the Vaadwaur fighters from Voyager episode Dragon's Teeth.
I mean, these are tales as old as time. I remember when I was watching Voyager episode Dragon's Teeth the first time, I thought, in all my days of YouTubing that are to come, before YouTube existed, of course, but I was predestining it. How would this fare against the swarm ship from years earlier? That's crazy. I was thinking this.
Right.
I really was.
Well,
These kept me awake at night. These questions. I mean, I'm sure you as well had similarly driven questions.
yes, but not with these ships in
Oh,
particular. Yeah, no. Swarm ship versus. Fuck, sure. I don't know what to say. You go first and let me just know what these ships are capable of because I don't fucking recall.
Woo! Yeah, Vaadwaur, zippy pulse phaser things, quick, pure warships, but in a small scale like a gnat. But yes, I mean, a bee can still be very powerful in its own way, so don't underestimate. Yeah. And swarm ship, it has his warping impulse probably.
And numbers.
Yes, but they both have numbers. I would assume that the Vaadwaur can, you know, pop in and pulse kill many swarm ships, but I also assume that swarm could probably, like, electromagnetically disable them by getting near them and zapping them, and, you know, hundreds of them, etc., or 100. But as far as I remember, they've no tactical ability of any kind. They're just there to kind of get from A to B. Right? That was sort of it. But both are definitely, you know, pests. But one is a tactical pest. The other is just a pest. So yeah, I think Vaadwaur went reasonably well. And, you know, Void didn't love fighting them. Antiquated old ships, but you have enough of them. Yes, they could phase them off in a shot or two, but, you know, they were causing damage. They were going to win eventually, as long as they keep launching them, and they had dozens. So yeah, I think it's Vaadwaur wins relatively effectively, but with a ton of lost life.
I mirror your sentiment. Because just looking at these two images, the Voyager ship at the top looks tougher. I mean, I take that back. At least she can see visible weapons. The swarm ship looks like it might be tougher because it's got like a carapace, like a shell. It's whereas the Voyager ship has exposed engines and little greebly things and more bits that could be shot at and broken off. But at least it looks like it has weapons. So yeah, I'd have to refresh my memory on those episodes, specifically what they were doing and causing problems for Voyager. But for style points, I'd go with Vardoir. I like the color scheme. Feels kind of Star Warsy, honestly. But yeah. Go vote on the poll. We have 7 votes. Who would win, the Swarm or the Vodwar fighters? And only 8 votes. So, good call. Just Swarm versus Swarm. Wouldn't want to be in a Swarm battle personally. 31 likes, 24 people here. Guys, hit the like button. Let's try to get those likes up to 35, maybe 40 if you're just joining us. Yeah, this is one I can't speak too well on.
Well, yeah, I mean, warship versus swarm ship. But one was, and the Vodwar were mean, right? They wanted to cause damage. Yeah. I do want to point out because classics are lad. That was $5, but we got a whole battle in. But it is 5 normally for a single. So 10 for a double. Just saying. We've got to do our bit, guys. For the poll, 14 votes. The Swarm wins by 57%. Ah. Well, okay then.
But what about 1-to-1?
Yes. And Maze says, ship designs went downhill with Voyager. Interesting comment, because TNG was mostly model reuse ships, and they were never great. DS9 had like 6 ships in the first few seasons for CG, and half the model ships. Voyager was the only show that actually had new designs properly, because they had CG, and they had loads of them. So that was the first show that had a variety, and loads of, I mean, they had more hits in Voyager than TNG did, because they had more ships. That's just a metric of percentage-wise, although percentage-wise, right, if you include all the kit bash ships, if you have 7 variants of the Packard ship and 5 of them are boring, you've now skewed the chart. Yes, they have 4 or 5 A stars, but Voyager has a ton of amazing ship designs. So it's really weird to say, given that most ships in Trek came from Enterprise and Voyager and Enterprise and Voyager, just the pure number. Most.
Yeah.
I mean, TOS had, what, under 10 ship designs, if you include space stations? TNG presumably had 30, 40, and Voyager probably had about 150, 120, something like that.
Yeah.
Just saying, that's an odd comment, because there's loads of, loads of creativity in Voyager.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Let's see what is next. Classic for real, $5. The Haunted Dry Dock from the Enterprise episode Oasis versus Klingon TOS Arrow One Wing,
which he loves.
Versus Federation Felon Class. The Haunted Dry Dock can pick who to help.
I mean, we're definitely not putting 3 for $5, so that I just did the first 2 because that's just being silly. But also, I remember I said for Ray, there's a ChatGPT version of the battle Negvar versus the Derelicts, which, in fairness, it did pick up key features of both.
Went with more of the horizontal or the vertical original look of the Andrew Probert's design.
Got the verses though. Look, it copied our logo. Kind of. It's cool though. Sorry, back to you though.
Well, I don't see the dry dock or anything on here, so I can't put them in.
No. They're not load up. Oh.
Mark Lawrence throws in $2 and says Chat GPT. Which one, Mark?
That's why I jumped to that one.
That was that one. What?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
Dan, they had mostly new designs.
Yeah.
Mostly. Everyone has reuse, but mostly new.
So in this instance, I think the dry dock would win because it would take the one wing in to be repaired and be this is what the fuck is this, and try to add another wing to it because logically that just makes sense and would completely obliterate the ship's interior functionality.
Right, another
And
wind. That's funny. I like that.
yeah, I mean, like this ship is really damaged coming in here. It's only got one side of it left.
Can't be intentional. That makes no sense.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it a haunted dry dock. It's just technologically advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So I get why you say it, haunted, but it's not. It's kind of like Christine. Well, that's also haunted. It's a car that's haunted. Anyway, it can repair itself and abduct the Klingon crew and you know. So I'm gonna give it to the dry dock, I think, because the Klingons, while being brutes and try to like
Mm-hmm.
fight their way out of the situation, I don't think of the tactical brilliance that the Starfleet would have that they used to escape.
Mm.
Plus, I don't know what the One Wing's quite capable of. So,
Who
but
does?
if it's just attacking the station, they'd attack the station, think they won because the station would be all damaged, and then it would end up preparing itself after they left and have been long gone. So, it's a draw. It's a tie.
Mm.
Not much of a battle, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, one win. What do you say when something loses style points, right? Reverse style points. Yeah, I think the one wing, as with any Klingon, is going to be effective, and therefore pew pew, and therefore win. But is that the battle you're really looking for here? Because, Dry Dock be mean, Dry Dock be crazy, Dry Dock be pretty one of the best episodes they did.
It is. It's a great episode.
Definitely one of the best of that season. But of course, Enterprise never really, if they just came in firing, I think it would have been fine. Man, that's.
I don't even know if the station has weapons.
We didn't see it do things, but also be odd if it didn't. And if you're going full AI silliness, right, then you assume it could build its own weapons. Like if it's got replicator tech, which is super, super high end for the time, then it could probably make its own weapon turrets. Like it was literally replicate building parts. So if it knew it was going to be in a situation, it could probably just build phasers onto the hull.
Yes.
And a dry dock, you'd think would have a lot of power to have shields, something that big. To have replication tech, you need a lot of power to do. So probably power-wise, it has a really high-end level warp core or generator. But it doesn't have to do a warp bubble, so it's like, well, doesn't need that. But then if the of course we're serious history. But if the one wing just stayed in torpedo range, just shot from a distance, what could it do, right? Pachoo, 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 gone.
And then we just rebuilt itself later.
Then you just destroy the rebuild, and then destroy the rebuild, and just yeah.
I really wish that thing would have came back in the later season.
Yep. Could have done with that.
Or the race that made it, or something.
Well, I've said before, but as per the internal documents, it was called a Tellarite dry dock.
It was, but I don't think it was.
Exactly. But that said, it would be absolutely fine if it was a Skynet situation. It was Tellarite, and then it went crazy, and then it took people, and then it became more evolved, and like that's great. Absolutely fine with that. And yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you can pick a winner for this one.
Klingons.
I think
Oh
in a
wow, I
straight up
could. Oh my god, I could. It's crazy. Crazy. Wow, I did it. Oh my god.
battle, I think Klingons would win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's okay. But guys, we have another half hour. We'd love to get another 5 or 6 battles quick fire in.
Mm-hmm.
And support what we do here and not.
Those are there.
Huh.
Of course, Classic's back with $5. The largest cluster of Suliban ships we saw in Enterprise
Mm-hmm.
versus a Federation Fenlon class from FASA.
And remember which one that is.
That's the Death Star one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is just it's a monitor ship, essentially. Doesn't do fucking anything, really. So yeah, the Suliban would win. I mean, the cell ships are pretty cool, pretty, powerful. They're chasing Enterprise, shooting at it. I assume that's what he's talking about, just the cell ships, yeah?
Mm-hmm. A swarm of them. He's having a swarm today, isn't
he? Yeah. Yeah, the Suliban will win, hands down. Alien tech, numbers, sheer numbers versus this thing, which is just a monitor ship. It's just basically there to monitor like the border. It's not really designed to do much. I'm not sure what the weaponry is on the Fenland class, but
well, if it's a deadless hull, you'd assume it would have potentially hold
yes.
over deadless phases and such, and that's obviously a fan version. It's cool. That's any version can work. But the cell ships are literally equipped with future phases that was given tech by Future Guide to make sure they were a stronger power. They were given because this is a shuttle. This is a ship that is so small it's an escape pod sized because you see it. They open the hatch. It's just a little chair. So it's an escape pod size, smaller than an escape pod because it's only one person, and it has warp, high impulse, high maneuverability, strong phasers. I think a tractor. It has. No, the big one's tractor. Good shields. So that's the impressive thing. It might seem silly, but this thing is absurdly advanced and powerful for what it's able. I mean, a Starfleet couldn't make something that capable. I would think even to Nemesis they'd be struggling to make. Right? Like, it's smaller than a work beat. I mean, work beat is wider, but like it's tiny. And if they can build 100 easily because they're so easy, like this thing is they literally go into how cool it is as a pinnacle of tech. But yeah, miniaturize because future guys from, let's say, Enterprise J time, whatever, phases are miniaturized. And gosh, I mean, I'm not even kidding really. You take a phaser rifle from Nemesis and you put 2 of them in this thing as its main weapons. How powerful is a phaser rifle compared to NX era phasers? Not even kidding, right? Like, I mean, a phaser rifle can, or like Worf's, bazooka. That thing can blow up a huge amount of stuff in theory. Or, if a TOS phaser can disintegrate a building, a phaser rifle can show you a lot more. Throw against basic bit shields. I mean, or hull plating. It's probably going to add a lot of tech. So miniaturized phasers come a long way.
Plus, if the Suliban ships cluster together to create a ship equal size of the Fenlon, they'd have a lot more weapons as well because each of those little pods has weapons in it, and it would just annihilate this thing, I think. So yeah, there's no contest here.
And it wouldn't even matter if the cell ships got destroyed because there's like always going to be 10 more. And they can cloak. God damn, yeah. How the hell do they fit a cloaking device this thing as well? You know what I mean? Like, wow, you say that, all that tech, and we see the cloak in theory in the mirror one.
Yeah.
Wow, this thing is absurdly advanced.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There you go.
Answer. And if it's one of these versus the Fenlon, then Still, I think
it'd still win.
I
Yeah,
still think it win. Yeah,
it still wins.
but you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
Ben says a group of Suliban ships were no match against Tholians and lost.
yes,
But that's the Tholians, man. They're a pain in the ass.
I wouldn't know. Yeah. That's tricky
Hang on.
because Tholians are really advanced, but can only be so much so at the time of the time. I,
Yeah.
I guess when you pump in all this tech into a small frame, the shields are probably gonna not. But if you also don't care, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If the ships can be destroyed, then don't worry about the shields so much. Focus on everything else. Then another ship comes in and can shoot them. Well, I wonder if I'm really going off topic. I wonder if the Silburn ships, like, have a very advanced rotational energy system. Meaning, if you've got 100 points, each single tech they have is basically most of it. So either you can stay cloaked and warp, so like you split it, so the cloak is not as effective, the warp is not as effective. Not cloaked, full warp, full power, low shields, full shields, low weapons, and everything's, or like you can pick two but not three, and so you can't have shields and weapons and warp all at the proper level. And you can't have shields and weapons at the same time because they're too powerful. So I wonder if there was like, you bring an alien ship and they caught them off guard, so they had power distribution that was not perfect, you know.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Hit that like button, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're one away from the 35 I asked for. So if you're just joining us, we have 35 people here. Theoretically, other people have hit like and left already.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just joining us, then like yet, hit the like button. We might be even able to get up to 40. So consider.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good. See, any silly idea can be real if you think about it hard enough and you logic the logic, which we could do. That's what we've done for a while now.
We try. Yeah. All right, let's get rid of these bad boys.
Now let me throw this one out.
Mm.
Not quite our thumbnail, but I'm interested to, since we had the sort of debate earlier.
Mm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
The Enterprise would win because Enterprise. It gets Enterprise points.
But
Well,
Spore Drive, like a
you got the problem with the Spore Drive and fucking Lorca and all that, but come on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because the Discovery is newer.
It is, but it's also not built to be a heavy cruiser. We've talked about this with the Crossfield. It feels more like either a test bed ship or like a science vessel. Yeah, it's got a few phasers and whatnot, but I don't think it's in the same league as the Enterprise. Plus, the Enterprise and the Constitution at the time were like the cream of the crop, the best of the best. Discovery wasn't, I don't think. Crossfield, there's only like what, three of them that we know of for sure. The Crossfield, the Glen, and the Discovery. And they don't have the appearance of being anything super tough. They very much feel like I said, an experimental testbed vehicle or a science vessel. Even the name, Discovery, but you know.
Well, how did I discover? But then you say that, but the Intrepid, science ship in theory, yeah, jam packed, full of strawberry jam. Yeah, this is tricky because it's the same logic slightly as other ones in that they'll have the same advancement of weapons and torpedoes because that is of the same era, right? So they're going to match each other on phasers and torpedoes, as in technical specifications, right? Then it's a question of how much power can they put into the phasers. If you take the Connie's warp core from the dot and bubble, whatever, it's like the size of a bloody warehouse. We take it from Stranger World, it's still the size of the secondary hull. I mean, it's still humongous. And while we never saw the engine room of the Discovery, the size of the Stranger World's engine room would barely fit in Discovery, but then nothing does. So, but like it's huge, right? But the Discovery's warp core will be newer, and in theory, it has to, surely a spore jump takes more power than a warp jump. So in theory, you need to have a more powerful warp core, at least at small jumps, in theory. So it's got, and why wouldn't you put at least a Connie warp core into the Discovery, because those are available. So it's probably the same warp core power level, the same phaser output, the same torpedoes, and spore drive. Right, like all you've then got is amount of weapons, which is variable, but I don't know placements and all of them offhand, etc. Size wise, it's bigger, but it doesn't really make much difference. Yeah, like I say, tech wise, they're going to be super comparable, but then you got Spore Drive as well, and the Enterprise has no particular winning point over Discovery in any field. Probably match shield generators, but you could also argue that the Discovery needs really good shields to survive a Spore jump versus a warp jump. So again, you could argue that as well.
Yeah, the big part of space inside the Discovery, I mean, that's its selling point for sure. It can engulf the Enterprise in there. I mean, and the Enterprise would fly around for weeks and not be able to find its way out. So,
and you can obviously fit the Discovery in the Enterprise's shuttle bay, which are large enough to fit 47 shuttles and
137 fighters. And
yeah. I think unfortunately Discovery would win this quite easily just because of the strategy and tech level. I would think Enterprise could take more hits, but if Discovery keep jumping, torpedoing, then the Enterprise never gets hits off, then it's sort of a moot point. It's just going to take the punishment.
Use that logic to say that Discovery would beat everything then.
Of its era, yes. Well, no, of its era comparative. Like, it should defeat a D7, should defeat... of its era, yes. But as soon as you get more advanced tech, it changes. But of its era, yeah, you've got... It'll certainly be everything in the Federation fleet, tech-wise, and then Spore Drive as well. Whereas it means, if Lorca was part of the construction process, he's going to give it the best of everything, and then Spore Drive as well, right? He's not going to let anything go in the ship that's second gen. He's going to do everything newest gen, because it's just a case of move the module over, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's a god ship, right? It's a silly thing.
Yep. God ship tech. Yeah, I don't know. It would make sense that the Crossfield class was a little bit newer than the Connies because they've been out doing stuff for a while. Guess they're always getting updated. And yeah, the Crossfield would be more modern.
But then you've got the technicality of in the book canon, as in Eagle Moss, the Strange Worlds Enterprise is the war refit. So the Cage Connie would be beaten because it's older tech, but the war refit Strange Worlds Connie would be slightly newer than just Crossfield because Crossfield came out before the war because the war hadn't started yet.
Yes. War refit Enterprise. That's a thing I never thought I'd hear myself say.
That's what Eagle Moss said in the books, try and make it make sense. And then unrefit for the Cold War, straight after. When they shrunk the ship back to its original size. Because they thought, let's make it bigger. And then also, let's war refit it and then keep it out of the war.
Yeah, that's perfect logic right there.
It's as if they didn't give a shit and didn't care and just...
I just didn't. The left hand didn't check to see what the right hand was doing. Unfortunately,
or look at the cannon and care. It's very disappointing.
Or those two hands, the left hand, the right hand, never even picked up the book, never even opened the book, left the book on the shelf.
It's just not difficult to make canon work. It really isn't. Oy. Anyway,
Interesting
Crossfield.
debate there. Crossfield, sure. Classic for real though. Throws in $5. Okay, something worthwhile. Dominion Super Battleship
Mm-hmm.
versus Prometheus. You're welcome, Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
Dominion Super Battleship.
Just the battleship.
I thought he was going for something anime there.
No, just the standard epic battleship.
Versus the Prometheus. This is interesting. Top of the line Federation tech, ability to multi-vector assault mode, the hell out of you. 3 ships versus 1, essentially. But goddamn, the Dominion battleship is huge. Super powerful. Not many weak spots, if any.
Hi, Tim. Good to see you.
So this would become a kind of a 3 birds of prey versus a galaxy class comparison, perhaps. It's kind of the vibe I get. I mean, it's when the Prometheus breaks apart, it's smaller ships, all heavily armed, all very maneuverable, all being able to act in unison, doing different tactical moves. So again, it kind of comes down to kind of swatting at different flies while other ones attack you, but there's only 3. I think the Dominion battlecruiser might have an upper hand. Launch some Jem'Hadar fighters, because I'm sure it's got fighters on board. Um, no, you don't think so? You don't
Well,
think that has bug ships?
well, they're not fighters. I know what you mean, but we've never seen fighters, so I don't even
I
know.
know. I was talking about bug ships specifically, but
Okay, well,
it's
yeah.
it's big enough. It would have
Oh,
a few
if that's
probably.
bug ships, then oh no.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
but if we're just doing ship to ship, uh, I'm sure the Dominion have really advanced strong shields. I mean, Prometheus is the top end tier of technology wise for the Federation, but splitting something that's whole into 3 constituent parts, which are smaller, I don't know. I think the Federation have a better chance if they launch 3 Defiant classes at a Dominion battleship than if they launch 1 Prometheus. Because I don't think the Prometheus parts together or on their own are as advanced or powerful as the Defiant. And definitely couldn't take a kicking like that. Fuck, I don't know, man. What are your thoughts? Because I know you love the Prometheus. You probably have an insight that I'm not looking at here.
And just guys, one more but versus we'll get to a nice little goal. So one more be absolutely phenomenal, or two even better. This is a really interesting one because it is like starbase level power versus like scalpel.
Yeah.
Right? They're very extreme ends of a spectrum designed for extremely different things. The Prometheus is a tactical, you know, it's so much smaller than a sovereign but more powerful. Everything it does is to the 10th degree with a 3 split, where each ship is also fully equipped to the same level of equipped. Actually, more so because, of course, Prometheus has only so many phasers and torpedoes. Split into 3, it has 3 times the phasers, and they have 3 full warp cores. It's not losing any power in terms of offense. Maybe its shields are diminished, but it is designed for this. So therefore, I mean, oh no, we lost 20% overall shields to gain 3 ships at 80% each, but now we've got 3 80%, right? We had this debate like a year ago, and it's like, you don't realize how much more powerful 3 actually is when all 3 are full starships. And it is not a literal case of 3 times the ships equal 3 times the shields. Only so much those emitters can do. It ain't tripling it. It's just, you're not 3 timesing it, you're not 3 dividing it. It's designed to be 3 full ships. So you're gaining 3 times the firepower. That's really useful. That said, Dominion is absurdly, bombing planet level power. That said, you can dodge some stuff maybe. I mean, that's the problem with a lot of Trek CG is the ships don't do enough moving. They just let themselves be hit. So if you did some of that, then
I think the Prometheus, even combined, would be more maneuverable than the Dominion battleship. I have the feeling that
Oh, yeah.
Dominion battleships are rather sluggish. Then you separate the Prometheus. You got 3 very maneuverable ships, hugging the donkey, as it were, attacking the Dominion ship. So,
like, it's not powerful than movable than Defiant, but we saw the Saucer. It was really capable of maneuvering, so it's going to be close, but not quite. So this thing is going to run circles, keep firing, keep firing. You know, the Dominion is designed to. The Dominion is very much of a fleet organization. They always run in packs, and in group formations, with bug ships being the core, because the bug ship can shoot, take hits, and kamikaze if needed. All 3 are very useful. This thing is not designed to be by itself. It's designed to have escorts. Not saying this battle it would, but it's like the Death Star, right? You're not designed to shoot fighters, so that's a giant weakness, even though it can kill planets. This thing is not designed to take on the Defiant, which it was unable to fight until the point that they sort of like let themselves be hit abstractly, right? Like they could have kept the fight going in a clever way, they just didn't do it, etc. So Prometheus could keep firing, but depends if the Dominion battleship's shields could be weakened by 1 ship, because you assume they would just pump so many shield emitters and so many reserve energy things to let this thing just have pure shields, right? It's like if you gave a Galaxy class 3 times amount of shield emitters and 3 warp cores, it will be able to do more, right? It's a lot of space to use, a lot of EPS conduits. This thing is so big. Its EPS conduits are bigger than some ships, right?
yeah.
So can't take the hits. It's designed to take on a whole fleet. So Prometheus, could it scalpel? Maybe. We know it's got quantums. I'm pretty damn sure that was said somewhere.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. Specify photons, but also from a weird place. Yeah, I think the Prometheus, as good as it is, would still lose, because the battleship, as soon as it's like any hits, and it can take hits. But if you start doing any number of fleets, like 2 Prometheuses, 3 Prometheuses with 3 multi-vectors, battleship's going down, because that's 3 best the best, and right. But then 3 Defiants, same logic, right? So it's kind of like it's not designed to fight against the best in a armada. Yeah, this thing's a special case, right? It's like a Voth City ship. It's like a Doomsday Machine. It's a very unique case ship.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not meant to be on its own necessarily. It's definitely, it's a fortress. If anybody gets to it, it's a fortress to defeat. But nobody really gets to it because it's doing its thing at the back of the fleet.
Yeah, it's designed to shoot and kill sovereigns from the 3rd row.
Yeah.
While other ships are brawling, right? It's not designed to take on, which is why if you send a fleet of Defiants and Prometheuses, now you've got a possibility, because they're not designed to take on. But it's designed to slugfest like Galaxy class and sovereigns and do really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Dominion still. This thing is like the thing you don't want to see.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. What did the poll say?
But the audience doesn't. 18 votes. Prometheus wins with 67%.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
what had
see.
You say?
Okay. Who in the chat would change their mind based on my argument there? Like, who would now say Dominion based on my argument? Who would say Prometheus? Let us know. Put your hand up. Or are you still confident after that? Because you could have voted straight away, right?
Yeah.
I want to know.
I want to know too. Put up your hand in the chat if you would change your vote from Prometheus to Dominion. Do it. Nobody's doing it. What's wrong? All right. Next up, we got Richard Lal, 10 pounds, Scimitar versus Enterprise E, and the Starfleet task force that he was trying to get to in Nemesis. Well, if it's Scimitar versus Enterprise E, I'm pretty sure the Scimitar would have won. If they got to their fleet or the fleet got to them, I think the Scimitar might have had a little bit of a fight on its hands, but I think it still would have taken out a bunch of ships on the Federation side. and I still think it would have probably come out victorious, even if it didn't use the Therion radiation thing. It is a predator, as they say in the movie. It's designed with multiple weapons, can fire while cloaked, super maneuverable in relation to, I guess, the Sovereign. Yeah. Um, if it had made it to the fleets, or the fleet had made it to them, I think there would have been more of a fight. And I think with the crew aboard the Scimitar, you might have had an edge. The Federation fleet might have had an edge because they have highly trained captains, advanced starships. You can't assume that the crew of the Nemesis or the Scimitar was fantastic at being a crew and working together. Really? Because they're not Starfleet trained. I know that's weird to say, but I don't think they're also Romulan trained. Does that make sense? Anyway, I still think the Scimitar would come out on top. Might be super damaged, but I think it would take out quite a few of the Armada fleet. I don't think that. Yeah, it would kind of be like fighting the Borg. I think would have been another Battle of Wolf 359 type thing going on. But I think some of the Federation ships would have survived, would have been, crippled or damaged, but not
That's right.
but not unrepairable.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is really tricky because
Yeah.
most ships are not the E. Shocker. So, Miranda's, Nova's, what?
Nothing, just slides. It's being slides.
So, Nova's, Miranda's, they're going to get blasted to shit. Right? Their shields cannot deal with this. The E can. The E is not normal. Nebulas, New Orleans, anything in the fleet except a D and E, Prometheus, their shields are going to be fucking annihilated by the like even think about, remember the E was at warp and shields would be high at warp because why else? Single barrage to the top made them lose warp. Right? So imagine the same
Mm-hmm.
barrage on anything smaller. It's going to wipe the floor. If you take DS9 logic, where one torpedo kills a Katinga, then this thing is going to be murdering crews every like 20 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Brutalizing the fleet. Absolutely brutalizing. That's a way of looking at it. And it's fair. They'll lose a lot of ships very quickly. However, the important thing we learned in the battle, if you look at actual tactics, is that you can maintain fire at a point. That point is then censorable because it's now visible, and you can target that point. So if all, let's say, 20 ships can maintain fire, and at least one ship always have a hit, there'll
Yeah.
always be somewhere which will have visible. So the ship is not actually invisible at that point, and most shots are going to hit phaser-wise, some part of the scimitar, some torpedoes, because they will be able to do math, right? And
But
so there'll
they
be...
but the Scimitar lowered its cloak in that area to make it look like there was damage. It was a tactic. It
I don't,
wasn't because of.
but I don't mean that. I mean, in the middle bit, you can see the ship be slightly. Every hit was doing something. So I'm saying
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
because it's got shields, it can take hits. Like if you shot a Katinga while cloaked and it was hit, it would lose its cloak or have an explosion, so you could see it. So the shield impact was enough to detect, but it's because the shield impact was going within a second, is being cloaked again. But you said the trajectory. So as long as there's always fire hitting it in some quadrant, you would have it found. You just couldn't pinpoint accuracy like its thing. So because it was always being able to be detected and stuff. That's what I mean.
Okay. Yeah.
Fleet
I like
combat.
that.
It's not designed for a fleet combat. It's a predator, not a brawler. So if it's always being hit by lower grade phases of the smaller ships, not a lot of damage, but letting versus learn to fire in the dark, that you could properly target and properly fire and get real hits like the Quantums. So a fleet combat, you're going to lose a lot of ships, a lot of people, but you can absolutely kill a scimitar
Yeah.
with a
Actually, I actually agree with you. Yeah, I like that logic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a horrible kill ratio, but we saw the fight. That's why, you know, 2 Nixons and an E did get their shields down. It was, you know, these are the top range ships and they could all take a lot of punishment. Yeah, you could absolutely kill a scimitar with a giant fleet. Yeah, no shit, right? Like, you could take it, like, you know what I mean? Of course you can. It's a giant fleet. It's not designed for that.
Wasn't a giant fleet. I
No.
think there was like 6 ships that were coming or something.
Yeah, it was. I think it was maybe like 10. It was. You're right. It wasn't huge, but
And if 2 of them were Mirandas, I mean, they're out of the picture instantly.
and that'd be the strategy, right? You'd take out
Yeah.
the weakest. But I'm thinking like if you had an actual DS9 task force, a proper like 20 to 25 fleet, including the
Yeah.
Peregrine and stuff to keep some level of combat on the shields. And ships like the Galaxy, which have a lot of fire arc, they can just keep going and keep causing hits. It all depends on what ship classes. Phasable turret ships are older, have a lot harder time, but newer ones have a lot more. Yeah. Yeah, all situational, right?
Yeah. I think there was at least 1 Nebula class in the fleet that was coming.
Technically the Intrepid. So the Nick Cook ship. Because he thinks you add in Intrepid classes with very good shields, very good weapons, and very good maneuverability. That thing, if you've got one that can kind of like keep up with it, and like, you know, take some hits, and they can take quite a few hits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or Define just pulse phasing everywhere and getting hits. Yeah. Or like you get bring an old school Miranda out of dry dock, mothball, and just use its pulse phasing and just like spread.
Pepper it.
Exactly, right? It's dumb, but it's a different sort of weapon.
Yeah.
Because we did.
Yeah, I think 1-on-1 the Scimitar versus the Sovereign class, the Scimitar was going to win. But yeah, I think I agree with Sam's logic there. Like the fleet would take some losses, but overall, I think the Scimitar would come out on the bottom of that fight for sure. Severely damaged, if not destroyed.
Because we saw what a couple of Quantums did. Like, I remember they did cause sparks. Because Quantums are big, heavy-hitting ornament. Yeah, hallmark ornaments.
Armaments.
Ordnance. So if you include a couple of Defiants, obviously I'm adding the fleet to the power, but if you add a couple of Defiants, you can do 2 Quantums and do any hits, they're gonna feel that. And at some point, the shield impacts are gonna cause damage to remove weapons from play at a certain point. So it's gonna get less powerful the more it plays. Yeah. It's the sort of ship that you'd love to have seen do anything else in canon, the Scimitar.
Yeah.
Because it's bloody incredible, but it is fallible. You imagine against the Dominion, which is what in theory it was fighting originally, a single bug ship kamikazing would be just insanely damaging. And this thing has to avoid bug ships. But it could take a couple of hits, I'm guessing, but like it's gonna start to be punished. Yeah.
Punished.
Yeah. Now if you've got 2 scimitars, right? Yeah, this thing is it's a god ship, but it's not impossible, which I like about old Trek use case, right?
Yeah. That's a good one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good call.
Anyone else have anything left to say? But it's funny, you have made me want to do, just from this bloody idea, just do a what if fan film.
Yeah.
What if they had a fleet and the exact same movie, and then everything was different from that point? But what a waste of my time, because like it's not canon then. Right? It's like a non-canon fan film, we can do whatever the hell you want.
Well, it'll still be fun.
It'll be very fun. It'd be crazy. But it's like, why am I doing that? And just watching Miranda's get blown up and kill Nick. Oh, I could kill Nick. Kill Nick. Not the first time. Actually, not the second time.
It won't be the last.
It won't be the last. I try not to kill Nick. We like Nick, but you know.
Sure. Yeah. All right.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I think we'll call it there, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Tune in tomorrow. We will be doing another live tomorrow. So tune in for that. And yeah, next week we got a bunch of Strange New Worlds content for lives leading up to the 17th, Thursday, when we get the first 2 episodes. And then, of course, we're
Pray for
back to the
us.
whole, yeah, we're back to the whole schedule of edited content on the Saturday for reviews, live reviews on the Fridays.
Which we need you to turn up to, because those are meant to be big ticket items to do come in and put in your thoughts. We do,
Yeah.
we do rely on those.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to new Trek. So make sure you tune in next week if you're a Strange New Worlds fan, because we will be covering all of it. That's what we do.
Also, possibly, probably, maybe a Drunk Yards at the weekend.
Yes, yes.
Depending. Sneaking my birthday right below the line. So right before everything goes crazy with Stranger Worlds. And I may or may not be doing a live on Thursday with a special guest. Stuart's not around. I'm going to try and fit him in anyway on Thursday, during this week. But if you can't make it, then you can't be there.
I don't even know about this, so.
Yes. Well, I was going to talk about this week, but then you told me you can't do live, so.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. You get to watch it. Not that you will, because you don't care. Oh.
I don't watch this shit.
No.
Anyway,
but he has watched his own fan films a couple of times, thank goodness.
Oh, okay.
So he will watch his own face. Oh, General Grievous, hello.
Tune in, turn up, and just be part of the community. We love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Indeed.
So until then, he's Commander Cockings.
I know one did the thumbnail verses. Just saying, you never do the obvious one. Cat